All right. had to find the right file here. All right. So as you can see from the previous kind of information that I've done, is I just started building up here the walls and things like that. And I started building up the walls and start putting in the different pieces that make much more of the scenery. So I can go through here and I'm just going to hold shift with the move tool here. I'm going to just hold shift and then I can start with actually putting on my angle snaps here. Just instance this stuff over. So like so, and so, oops, that'll work too. And let's actually move this one over here. And so let's look and see here. A little bit off, but that's okay. And it looks like I need to kind of make that one unique there. And also I need to push this back a little bit. Let's see if that's good. So as you can see, I'm just starting to build up these 4 pieces here. And we're just going to move this one straight up. And I'm just going to, looks like I'm going to have to snap each one here individually, which is no big deal. And there we go. So as you can see, it's really actually, I can go in and I can grab what I want, grab the individual pieces that I need, and kind of start piecing together things. Now, what I'm going to do is, since I'm going to unfreeze all here, and I'm going to grab this, and I can delete this one. I'm going to delete this one here. I think we're good on that. And then I'm going to delete this here, and I start building up on that. And I've got the base there, so I'm going to, I think I'll delete that one right off the bat. And then I can go in and I can grab the rest of this stuff here and start building up and freezing it again. So I'm just going to right click, freeze selected, and some of the stuff here, like these cars, the sidewalk. And all of this stuff is just pieces that I can freeze this again. So I think that's good for now. You can actually delete these doors here. I don't need those, so I'll just click those real quick here and delete those. Those are just placeholders. So like that. And what else can we do here? Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just grab, I don't want to kind of repeat the pattern that much, so I'm just going to grab this one here and start by snapping that one like so. And all right, and then just got some issues in some of this stuff here. So, and I think I grabbed the right piece. Yeah, they look like they line up pretty well. So, yeah, push that one back. Actually, just push that one back. Grab that one. Push that back and grab this one and make sure it's lined up like so. Yeah, I like that. So grab this one and I'm going to move it up here. Like so. And there's little gaps there, and I'm going to have to fix those individually, but that's not that big a deal. So I can go in there and add in stuff like that. And this one's got another block up there, so I think I'm going to add in stuff like this. And just slowly build up. And now there's things that I have to do yet. You know, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to, looks like I need to bring this one back here. And that looks good. And just cancel that. Just move, there we go. Alright, so that one looks good. And let's do the same thing for, so we've got street, corners, we've got all of this stuff. Looking good so far. What do we want to do in this one? I kind of envisioned, let's use this one here. So I'm going to grab this one here. And I'm going to go here, turn that in the z-axis, so 180. There we go. And let's build that one up here. And I'm just going to build make sure that this one lines up. So this one's going to have to move a little bit over. Like so. And yeah, let's keep going with this. So I'm just going to keep building this up. And if I make any changes to this, the nice thing about it is let's see here. Let's see if we can get that one in the right spot, and then we can move that one in the right spot. You know, and I'm just, like I said, this is just basically Lego blocks here, so and then one across, like so. There we go. Alright, that looks good. So I'm going to hit camera view here, and so you can see that I'm actually, I don't want to build this up too far because I want to see some of the skyline in the back. So that's something that I'm going to have to do. But that is, you know, I don't want to go too far up. So I'm just going to grab, I think I'm going to grab this one here. And I'm going to clone this one. And 180 here. Did I lose it? Oops, I know what I did. I moved. There we go. Let's rotate that 180. And copy that one over. Let's grab this one up over here. That one forward. And just slowly start piecing this together. And it looks like there's a little discrepancy here, so I'm going to fix that. And make sure that's okay. And as I just build, keep building like so. Alright, that looks good. So there is that. And I like the way that looks. So then I'm going to take this and actually I think I'll start with this piece here, and I'm just going to bring it out, snap it to the grid here, and then I'm going to rotate it -90 maybe. Oh, I moved it. Let's try that again. -90. Nope. 270. There we go. And then I'm going to just snap it to said grid over here. Now the building is, let's see here, so let's go to H. And let's make sure I got my geometry. Now you can see I've got a ton of these planes here. You know, a lot of the doors and stuff like that. And it's pretty unorganized right now, but it will eventually here. Click solo here. And so I've got my car, my building sections. Sidewalks, stairs, string of lights, plane. Building section 3. Alright, let's just do the scene explorer. So it's building section 3, unfreeze that, let's delete that. And this is a good start right there. So let's go here. Just gonna minimize this, and I'm gonna shift. I just need to align this stuff here. So grab this. And make sure that we do grid lines. Let's take off vertex here. And there we go. And I'm just going to grab all 4 of these. And move 1, and then I'm going to do it again here. So those are a little bit off. Just going to grab these and snap them up. Alright, that's pretty close. And then to make time go a little bit faster, I'm going to actually turn off my snapping here. I'm going to grab all of this, with the exception of the stuff I selected in the corner. And I'm going to clone that, say OK, and oops. Let's go perspective again, and move it back, rotate it 90. Oops. There we go. And oops, undo. There we go. And let's just move it over here. And I'm going to have to snap all these accordingly. But I'm just trying to get it into a reasonable enough place here. And snap that in. There we go. That should be good enough right there. And that way I can just start. Not too worried about what it looks like as far as you know, I'm not really going to spend a lot of time designing this area here. So I'm just going to do that, and then just to do the same thing over here, but I'm going to snap all these back by vertice here. Like so. And alright, so that should be pretty close. There might be something off a little bit here. That's good. That's good. These are just a hair off here, so just have to get in there and kind of clean it up. That looks good. That looks good. This one's a little bit off, so if I just go in there and snap that in there. Alright, so that looks good. And I'm going to do the same thing over here too. I'm just going to go right around the corner though and grab. Actually, I'm just going to grab this stuff here and snap this over here like so. And let's do 270. No, 180. There we go. And oops. Alright, let's unsnap this real quick. I'm just going to kind of move it roughly in place. There we go. Everything's kind of getting tight in here, so alright, let's turn snaps back. Let's turn off vertice. And these snap into the grid. And let's turn back on vertice. And these snap right to the corner like so. Let's get these back in place. Now, there's some fixes I gotta make, little fixes there, so they're not like huge. But I think that looks good. And then the doorway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this piece here and I'm going to copy that one over. And actually, you know what? I think I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go and use like these big windows here. So I kind of like this double facing here, so I'm just going to grab this, shift it over there, say OK, and let's rotate this. Let's see, 90 looks good, and all right, now hold shift down. The joy of snapping this all in here. So And I think that's good. I'm not going to see too much around the corners, so I just need to make sure that they're not off, so they'll look kind of on there. And so now I've got that in place. And I'm going to grab these double windows I like and start snapping those up. Say okay, rotate the 90 degrees. And if any of you guys have any questions, just write them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them or kind of give you a direction to find things. So. And okay, and so learning from my mistakes last week, I'm going to actually save this off. Hit save as, and I'm just going to hit the plus symbol here, which is I'm saving it to the desktop now, so I'm just going to hit plus, and so now I'm at version 3. Because last week I crashed the whole system, so OBS crashed and it took Max with it, and it just, I don't know, everything just dumped. So, and this one is a little bit off, but I'll move it back in place. And there. So that should be, kind of want to debate how high to go. I was thinking about actually moving these windows up here, up a level. And actually it looks like my windows are a little bit off. No, they're not actually. So I'm just going to grab these. And I'm just going to move them. Actually, I wonder if I can do that. Let me see if I can do this. So I'm just going to cancel. Come on here. I'm going to turn my snap off. I'm going to see if I can just do something a little bit different. So I'm going to just move this. There we go. So I moved it -1, and then I'm going to just see if I can move it 10. Did that do what I wanted it to do? It didn't move it where I needed it to. Oh, let's undo this. Let's just see if I can. Alright, that's pretty close. I'm going to turn my snap back on and just kind of clean it up here. Everything's just going to be moved down just a hair. And okay, so I've got big window, small window, big window, small window. Okay. And so now with this in place, I've pretty much got my cityscape the way I need it. So when I go to my camera, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to see the back cityscape, the backdrop here. And then I'm going to zoom over a little bit on this side, and then I'm going to move over and around here like so. And I just need to kind of adjust everything accordingly. and that's actually pretty simple. So what I'm going to do, going back to perspective mode, zooming out here. So with these in place now, there's some fixes that I need to make. And the fixes are actually really simple. So they are a couple different things. So the edge caps here on these, I need to basically turn them into um, corner pieces. I'm going to have to, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out some of these blocks here, some of these bricks, and I'm going to swap them out to basically give me um, either like the cement ridging on there, which I can do that really simple, or I'm just going to leave them and I'll see what I can do with it down the road here. I'm not too worried about it because I don't see much of it, and it's really about what you see as a as you're developing this stuff. Like if I was in the game, if I was doing this for the game instead of just a video, I would, I'd make sure everything is like perfectly good. So because I can explore with the character, whereas camera, it's you see what I show you. So I'm going to delete that. That's already out of place here. I'm going to delete this back door here, and actually the back door. Let's put those in place here. So, oh, I've got one in there. So I probably could. Yeah. No, I'll skip it. I'm not too worried about it. I've got my doorways in there, and that's what I'm looking at. I can delete that. I don't need those in there. And so all I'm doing, a lot of what I'm doing here is just taking the bits and pieces out and replacing them with more, much more information. This, however, it looks like I'm going to see if I can grab all of this here, and let's turn on my snaps here, and I'm going to take off vertice, and I'm going to see if I can just move it. Let's see here. Let's see if I can just move it in the X positions by 10. -5? No. Let's undo. Okay, so let's try 5 once. Alright, I don't know why it's snapping to that. Let's move this back here. And I'll snap it to something like that. So that's pretty close. I don't know why it snapped back. But that looks good. Or it's pretty close to there. I'm not too worried about. I can always snap it to the grid line, deal with what I need to deal with down the road here. So yeah, I'm thinking that's pretty solid here. And so let's see here. Just looking at an email here real quick. All right. So with that in place, the next thing I think I'm going to work on, and it doesn't really actually take too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually bring this up here. I'm going to say OK. Snap it to snap it to, come on here. Oh, snap the vertex. That's why she snapped. There we go. So I'm going to snap this up here like so. And I'm going to work on actually this portion. So I'm going to unsnap, and then I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to collapse all. Say yes, and then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to just delete that outright. And I'm going to worry more about my so I'm going to pull this out a little bit. I'm going to grab this, pull it up. So this gives me kind of a brick style building or brick style ledge up there. And then what I'm going to actually do is grab edge mode here and chamfer it. But I'm going to chamfer it a little bit differently. So I'm going to go down to 3 and I'm going to put up 1. And so that gives me a nice rounded curve like so. And then I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to grab this curve in center here, and I'm just going to kind of move it up and over. So now I've got like kind of an edge mode. So with that in place, I'm going to go into, make sure I'm off my sub-object level, go into my UV map here, open my editor, and I'm going to go into the city texture that I've been using, and essentially just grab this, and I'm going to scale it up like so and scale it down like so. So that's going to take kind of that whole look and feel, and that way it doesn't appear too stretched. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's see here. Let me just do this, see if this will work. I'm going to just hit relax, and so by relaxing it, what it does is it relaxes out the kind of stretching. So I'm just going to kind of grab this and just kind of scale it. Oops. Scale it down a little bit. And just kind of make sure that the edges, so something like that. Looks good, nice little piece, right? Take off my poly, and then go back, and let's start building some of this edge loop here. So I'm going to grab this, and turn on my snap, hold down my shift, and start by adding some of this like so. And so just kind of one step here at a time. And like so. So there's kind of an edge loop on one building. And I can always take this and I'm going to just snap it over here, and I'm going to do copy instead. And then with this, I can manipulate that into something completely different. Something like that. And I don't know, something beeped, and I'm not familiar with what the beep was, so I thought it was Twitch chat. I'm not used to that. All right. So just make sure everything's recording yet. Make sure everything's okay here. And let's add a different look and feel to this. And this is where my my reference sheet comes into place. I'm looking at, I look at different things. Like I'm looking at this, and I want to try and achieve something like this too. That looks interesting. Right now, everything kind of has this feeling to it. So I'm going to, probably add in some basic reference and things like that. And I got to change the windows up, of course, to some different windows, but I'm just kind of looking at and seeing how they're doing things. Um, so right now, I've got these double walls on here. Um, the buildings all look kind of the same, which is okay because if they're built all in that same time period, everything's kind of okay as far as that goes. Um, and I'm just looking at kind of changing some of this stuff up, but I don't know what I wanted to work on next. So everything looks okay here um, from that standpoint, and I can start freezing some of this stuff too. That'll make life a little bit simpler. I was looking at dumpsters here I got to deal with. I was looking at the stairs I got to deal with. I want to put in some cyber cars. But once this is done, once this is kind of, basically kind of done, I need to just start cleaning up things and moving them accordingly. So that's one of the things that I kind of want to work on here. And so let's see here. Let's start with some basics here. So I'm going to take let's take this piece here, and I'm going to collapse all here and say yes. And I'm going to grab the stack. I'm going to grab these two windows here. Actually, I'm going to just grab one. And I'll grab one here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I think, not delete the window, but I'm going to just basically grab it here and detach it. And I'm going to detach it as an element and say OK. And the reason I'm detaching it as an element is now with this, I can actually cut things out and do things accordingly without having to worry about the different kind of pieces. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in and so now that that's detached, I'm going to go into here and I'm going to just start out a window kind of set so that it looks interesting. I'm going to do this in two different ways too. I'm going to actually go into the edge mode here, and I'm going to go into connect, and I'm going to grab this one here and this one here. Actually, let's cancel this. I'm struggling with the face, so I'm just going to take off my snap. I think that's why everything's... So I'm going to just move this out for now. Alright, so with this in place, I'm going to go into the edge mode again, go into connect, and add that connect in there. And then what I'm going to do is take and go into polygon, grab this, and I'm going to snap. I'm going to bring this in like so. Oops. Escape that. Undo that. I'm going to just bring and extrude this inward like so. So that pushes it inward. And then what I'm going to do is I've got two pieces now. So I'm going to grab that one, and I'm going to actually inset it both just a hair. And so insetting that just a hair like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here and extrude it, and I'm just going to extrude it inward, not that much, but, and so now I have kind of a window. And if you're looking at your reference, and you zoom up into some of your windows, you can see how they kind of create things. Some are like individually framed, things like that. So I'm going to go here. Some are going to, some, like, here's the open windows that I was looking at. And so some are like these upper frames here, and then they slide up and down. So I'm going to just minimize that. And then I'm going to go into element, grab this, and I'm going to just move it slightly back here, like so, until it kind of lines up. Like that. And then I'm going to go into polygon, grab this, hit delete, grab the element, come on here, element, grab that, shift and drag it over, and I'm going to say OK. So now I've got windows in there, so I can use that as a window. I can even actually detach these here. So what I can do is I can grab both of these, and actually what I'm going to do with these, I'm just looking at it. So what I'm going to do is grab one of these, grab one and delete it. I just don't like the way it looks. It just doesn't feel flush. So I'm going to do something a little bit differently here. I'm going to actually scale it downward a little bit. And then I'm going to go into edge mode, grab this edge here, oops, and grab that edge there. And I'm going to grab this, pull that out just a hair, and grab this. And so that kind of creates a window frame now. And so now with the polygon, actually let's go to element, grab that, and I think what I'm going to do is just detach that. So I'm going to say detach as, instead of it as an element, I'm going to call this window closed. And then so get out of here, go in here. So now I've got a window closed, and I can actually take this element now, and you can see my UVs are screwed up in it too. And notice my pivot point is still there. So I'm going to do I'm going to do a little bit different thing here. So I'm going to move this over. I'm not going to change the pivot point here. So I'm going to say OK. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go into polygon, grab this polygon, and I've got my hotkey set to grow. So I'm going to actually grab this, and let's actually go back in and detach. I'm going to detach as an element again, and I'm going to say OK. So I'm going to move that up like so. And so now my window is open, like that. Like that. And then what I'm going to do is grab the edge here, and I'm just going to push that in a little bit. nothing major. And then I'm going to do something. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add another box in there. And so I'm going to go off of polygon mode here, and I'm going to just go back into creation. I'm going to go box. This is going to be kind of like so. And snap. There we go. That's pretty close. I'm not too worried about. So I'm going to take off my snapping. Move this over like so. Actually, I can move it much further out. So it's kind of like the air conditioning unit. And I'm going to have to design the air conditioning unit, which is not that big a deal. But then what I'm going to do is go here and basically see if we can move that like so. And let's turn this into a poly, grabbing this, grab this, and slide it down. And so there is, I'm going to grab this back here and just kind of pull it out like so. Alright, and so that now completes a window panel with a little AC unit. And I'll design the AC unit later. I'm just looking for, right now I'm just looking for, so I'm going to just attach this here, and it's going to look awkward, so on and so forth. But that'll be good for now. And then I can actually hit the pivot point, hit snap here, go again, and take that pivot point and snap it accordingly. And then in the element mode, I'm going to select all, and then I'm going to just move with the snap off. Here, undo this. So with the snap off, I'm just going to move it horizontal until it lines up. And I kind of screwed this up because of the snap, but I'm just going to bring it down there. And so that one now is a window panel. And I can kind of build out, the information from that. So I'm just going to not worry about that right now. Just trying to get the pieces in place. And let's see here, we don't need that, so I'm going to close that now. Okay, so that's a window panel here. I can grab this one here and go down into polygon, and I'm going to hold it like so. And actually, let's undo that. Let's see here if that, because you notice that changed. Oops. Alright, so I'm going to go down into this mode. I might have to clean up some of this stuff again. But the big thing I'm looking at is I'm looking at like the details now. Like here's a window, here's a window. What is this window going to do? I'm going to kind of collapse all here, say yes. And I can always, go in and play with textures and do things like that. So I'm going to grab this window here and detach it as an element again. Say OK, and grab the edge mode and oops, select. Actually, let's detach this window here. So let's move this off to the side here, and go to edge, grab these 4 edges here, and let's do a connect here. Oops. All right, maybe 2 at a time. Connect, And I'm just going to move this one down like so, and then ring, connect, and so now I've got my two pieces. And then what I can do is go into polygons, and then I'm going to inset, but I'm going to inset it according to not a group, but by polygon, and something like that. Say like so, and then let's extrude it, so, and then go back into element, grab this, and snap it all the way back, and now I've got a window set, and I can do different things with the window sets. I can change it up. I can go in and kind of play with things. And now, because I'm breaking the individual, like so, if I look at these here, like this one here, and this one here, this is make unique right here, and so I can there's ways to like go in and kind of piece everything together. So I'm not even worried about breaking this. And you can see that the UV, because the UV is screwed up on one of these, they're all screwed up. So actually going into the editor here and looking at the texture pattern, closing this, going here, holding yes, and then going back here, and then going back here, and then going back up here. If I want to fix all of these, you can see that I need to go in and kind of clean up these little pieces. So it's actually pretty easy. Just grabbing this one here, and it looks like move it up, and that was the major fix. And that one I got to clean up a little bit, but nothing major. And so once you're out of it, everything else is cleaned up. But what I'm doing is I'm finding placeholders and things like that. So I can get my windows in place. I can get, I want windows in place. I want, like picture windows. I want, like I've got down here, I'm going to have doors and stuff like that in place. And so it's just a simple process of modeling each and every piece, and then kind of going in there and putting each piece in. So I've been doing this for close to an hour. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But I'm going to call this done for the day. So save as normal, and so when I run through this, if I go in my camera again and I start running through this, you'll see that things are starting to piece together a little bit more. And I want to be a little bit more unique, so some of these pieces are going to change, some are not. It really depends on what I'm doing with it, so what kind of feeling I'm going for. So I think the next thing I'm going to work on is these pieces here. So I'll be back next Friday at noon. I try and get an hour again, and when time allows, I'm going to start doing Wednesdays too. So I'll do probably drawing on Wednesdays, and then for concept art and things like that. So all right, if you guys have any questions, let me know.